Hey, can I ask you something about Henry Cejudo? Because this clip resurfaced yesterday, when Dominic was on my show in last September. He was in Abu Dhabi. He dropped an incredible promo. He cut this amazing promo on Cejudo, saying that they used to train together in Arizona, and like Cejudo's almost this test tube Olympic baby where he was coddled his whole life. He doesn't really know, and being champion, being a gold medalist, this all defines him. He needs this sort of thing to feel important. Honestly, is that the Henry Cejudo that you know? Because you were on the same team as him, 2008, right? Was he just was he a weird cat in 2008? Be honest with me.
Let me tell you this right now about Henry Cejudo. I think where the whole cringe thing, right? People almost take him like not serious. That would be the biggest mistake you could ever make in your life. This is a kid that left Arizona as a 16-year-old kid to live in the Olympic Training Center and go through our training camps, Ariel. He would wrestle with the adults, with the senior team, and then go wrestle for his high school in the matches. That dude's real, man.
Wow.
And if Dominic believes that this kid's been coddled or anything like that, that's a problem, because this dude has always been one of the hardest working people I've ever met. Now, with that being said, this cringe thing is a part of an act, right? But imagine being a 15-year-old kid and you're uprooted from Arizona and put into the Olympic program, right? Your high school isn't the same. Your high school experience isn't the same. So all the things that Dominic did, Henry didn't have to do that because he was this kid that was almost a protege that was getting groomed to be an Olympian. So of course that's going to come with some differences, right? So yeah, maybe the cringe thing is a little bit of an act, but that's part of who Henry is. He is a little bit different because his experiences are much different than everybody else, right? He was a protege. He was groomed to be this champion, and he's proven to be that champion at every step of the way, right? Olympic champ, UFC champion. He was that guy that was almost like that was almost his destiny. And so of course he's different. He didn't deal with everything that I dealt with, like as a high school kid. He wasn't, when he got out of high school, he went to the Olympic Training Center, not just some small room to practice wrestling like the rest of us did. So yeah, he's different. He's much different, but he isn't, it doesn't make him any less real. He's as dangerous as they come. And I mean, that's to me, from being a person that was in that environment with him, seeing that little boy with the freckles all over his face in there wrestling 25, 26-year-old men. But what do you feel like as a person just from the outside, right? Is that what it seems like for Henry? Like he was almost like coddled?
Well, I don't know that. I mean, I wasn't there, right? So I can't really weigh in on this.
But that's the thing, though. I'm asking, what does it seem like from the outside? Because that's what Dominic's actually talking about.
Well, Dominic was there.
No, Dominic's talking from the outside. Because if he's speaking to being coddled, all this stuff, he knows nothing about until Henry walked into Arizona. He doesn't know what Henry's journey entailed before he got to that gym in Arizona where they trained together.
Sure, but they were pretty young, right, at that time. So, I mean, he would know more than me. He was saying that they were young kids and that he was the golden child that was chosen. I just think it's interesting because he is trying to almost explain why Henry is the way he is. But here's the thing: I don't believe Henry's just a really smart promoter. I think that when he came into the UFC, he was just very vanilla, and he was a bit of a showman. Remember, he came out wearing the gold outfit, the Spartan outfit, all that stuff. But once he started to realize, like, hey, I got something here. And by the way, I gave him let's just shoot right here. I gave him the Triple C moniker. Him and his coach, Captain Eric Albarracin, who still hasn't talked to me in 9 months because I didn't, or maybe 6 months, 5 months, whatever it is, because I didn't give him the Coach of the Year award. I gave it to Eugene Behrman. They're all mad at me for that. I mean, it's like the most ridiculous thing in the world. They wanted to call themselves Champ. And I was like, no, that sounds dumb. Think of your own gimmick, Triple C, right? So if you want to give someone credit here, and well, I just
took that from Triple G, right? No, you took it from Triple G. No, you took it from Triple H or Triple G. You took it from somebody. So
way better than Champ. I can assure you of that. Way better than Champ.
It is a little better, but it always comes from somewhere. So I guess maybe I'll give Triple H the credit for it, right? Because hey, listen, we're all stealing something, right? We all steal something.
That's fine, but you have to adapt. They were trying to steal from Conor and call themselves Champ, which is the dumbest thing in the world.
Well, you know, when I won the second belt, I didn't want to be called Champ. I wanted to be called the double champ, right? Because it's a little bit different than what Conor was called, you know? So when they would say, champ, champ, I said, no, call me double champ, right? Just a little bit different, my own thing.
Of course.
Opposed to what, because Conor, you know, he's so big that it's hard to kind of follow in his footsteps. So to be called champ, champ, champ would have been a mistake because
it would have been corny as hell.
Yeah, it wouldn't have been good. But I
like the Cejudo gimmick, and people take it too seriously.
It's part of him. It's part of him. That's not just a gimmick. I'm telling you.
Well, that was my question to you originally. Yeah, was he like that as a kid? He was like awkward and stuff, and making bad jokes.
Well, he was awkward because he was a kid, right? Remember, he's Henry Cejudo as a 17-year-old kid is talking to me as a 26-year-old man, right? So we're looking at this little boy like this dude makes awkward jokes. He's a kid, right? Even as an Olympic champion, he was only 21 years old, I believe, right? So he was still awkward, but that is who Henry is a little bit. He does make bad jokes, and he does sometimes not. There are times where he's not truly aware of whether or not something's as funny as he may think it is. Okay. But just know that he is the realest. I mean, it worked. If there was a test of whether or not you could train a young man to become Olympic champ and then a UFC champion, it's Henry Cejudo, and it worked, right? So whoever made the pivot from wrestler to fighter was right, and whoever made the pivot from go become a state champion to trying to be an Olympic champion was right. So it all worked for Henry Cejudo, man. Dominick better not underestimate this dude, because if he does, he's gonna get beat. Point blank.
By the way, when Henry won gold in 2008, and of course you didn't, were you jealous of the little kid? Be honest.
No, I was so happy for him.
Because you were not. Part of me was like, "Come on, this little schmuck won, and I can't win."
It's almost like you watch a kid, bro. There are two guys I watched become Olympic champ: Cael Sanderson and Henry Cejudo, and they just were different. Like I remember being in the Olympic, not the Olympic Village, but at that college where we trained in 2004. We would work out so hard, and then we'd go to eat lunch, and guess who would be on the track running an extra like 2-3 miles? Cael Sanderson, right? And I just it was like he was different, right? So you just were happy for him when he won. And Henry Cejudo was the same. You watch Henry lose in 2007 and was last place in the World Championships, but then you watch the work he put in the 12 months that followed, that when he won, I mean, I remember being in the hospital after that weight cut, and somebody might have gave me that Henry Cejudo won, and I was, just like, yes, wow. Happy for him, because you knew that the dude had put the work in to be the best. And you can see it even in the fights, man. He was fighting Marlon Moraes and was just like, yo, this is not happening to me. Enough is enough. I'm just going to go get this dude. So he just went in his face and just beat him up until Marlon fell down and got beat. That's one of the toughest dudes in the world. Henry just made a decision that tonight wasn't his night. And because of all the work he put in, he can do stuff like that. Not everybody can do that.
The most fascinating story on this card, with all due respect to Tony Ferguson, Justin Gaethje, everyone who's on the card, I mean, top to bottom, Fabricio coming back, Fabricio Verdum. The most fascinating story on this card to me is Dominick Cruz. The guy hasn't fought in almost 4 years. He's in his mid-30s, the former champ coming back. And what makes it so interesting is he's been the loudest guy who has said ring rust isn't a real thing.
He can prove it now.
I've proven it twice before. He came back to fight Mizugaki, came back actually 3 times, came back to fight Mizugaki, Dillashaw, and then he had the Garbrandt fight, which he lost. Do you believe in this? Because now it's not just ring rust, it's ring rust plus father time. Now he's in his mid-30s, right? So it has to catch up to you at some point, right?
I think he's another master of preparation. I think he's just another master of preparation. One of those guys that believes so strongly that he's prepared that he can say ring rust doesn't exist. But I don't know. This dude has just been. You
believe it exists?
I do. I'm one of the guys that do think ring rust exists. A little bit. I don't think it's such a big factor when you've been fighting so long. That's why Stipe could come back after a year and beat me, right? Like that's it takes a little bit of time, but once you got 25 minutes, you can work through 25 minutes of a fight. I believe that's the case. But I think what's more impressive about Dominick is the will he almost willed this title shot into existence. When he first started saying, I'm going to get a title shot, everybody laughed at him. Like, yeah, you're crazy. You've been gone for so long. But he said, no, I'm going to get a title shot. And then they right before he got his title fight, Ariel, they said he turned away a fight against Corey Sandhagen, right? Like that. Was it Sandhagen?
Yeah.
He turned down the Sandhagen fight, right? And everybody's like, oh, he's scared to fight. He's not going to do this. Maybe, but Dominick, who I had spoken to personally, was like, I deserve a title shot. He was like, I want to fight for the belt. And so if he did say no to the Sandhagen fight, it worked. He really willed this title fight into existence. And I know when him and I spoke, and he was like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I'm going to fight for the belt. You know, that's what I want to do. I think that's what's fair to me. He goes, I feel the same way. And as a friend, I said, you know, everything you've done in the sport says that you deserve title fights, but it's been so long, you know, are you going to be able to get it? And he was like, I want a title fight. And he was so stern in his belief that he deserved a title fight. And somehow, Aldo gets stuck in Brazil, a pandemic happens, because he almost willed this thing into existence.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.